Well, it's been a crazy couple of weeks, and I'm going to tell you all about it. I was stoned for a week and a half, but it's not what you think. I wanted to just take a few minutes on a Sunday to just clear my head and kind of do some of the things that I like to do outside of the things I'm required to do. And some of that time is just spent in my basement in my leather work studio, just making some things. I've got a show coming up in October that I need to get some pieces made for, and it's going to be a lot of work on weekends for me to get that done. But over the last week and a half, I was reminded that kidney stones are just no fun. And I dealt with one for about a week and a half. It was perfectly timed, so it took longer than it really should have. I started having problems on a Friday. I held off as long as I could. It was like 4 hours at work, and I was like, man, I can't take it anymore. Ended up going to the urgent care. I won't go into all the details, but went to urgent care, got a CT. They sent me to the ER. They told me it was obstructed and that it was big and that I needed attention. But then they told me they couldn't get me attention for 2 or 3 days and I'd have to stay in the hospital. And I thought, well, if I've got to wait that long to see somebody, I'm gonna go see my guy. So I called my guy on Monday. He got me in on Tuesday and said that because the hospital had me on certain meds that he couldn't touch me for a week. So that week came and went, and this past Tuesday I had a procedure to kind of free myself of that unpleasantness. Despite my changes in diet and commitment to stay hydrated, some people are just really good at certain things, and I'm really good at making those. So now that I've had a chance to get that past me and kind of clear my head a bit, I'm going to spend some time down here in the basement just making some things, and I just thought I'd share some simple shots, some simple imagery of me just working out some keychains that I plan to offer at the event in October. Come check it out. So a lot of people ask how I got into the leather thing, and it was about 9 years ago, I guess. Halloween. It was Halloween. It was definitely Halloween because I was looking for a costume, and I looked all over the internet for a costume. I was specifically at the time I was looking for a plague doctor mask, so I could do a plague doctor costume for Halloween. And I hadn't touched. This was 9 years ago. I was in my late 40s. I hadn't touched leather since I was a Boy Scout. So there was a lot to learn, and I don't think I concerned myself as much about learning the craft as I gave attention to the fact that I had a deadline and I needed a mask, so I needed to do something quickly. pretty much my favorite holiday, like, period. I don't care. You can put anything up against Halloween in my book. It's the best. It's the best holiday of the year, and I live for it every year. Everything I was coming up with online in terms of plague doctor masks, they were flimsy. They looked costumish. They didn't look authentic. They didn't look like the real deal, you know? So I did some poking around online, and I found that patterns were available for pieces designed by other folks, and that's actually what I went after. I was like, okay, this, you know, if I'm going to do this myself, instead of figuring it all out, I'm going to let somebody else take care of that. I'll take their pattern and I'll make myself something. It turns out this guy also does a range of things. I've been buying his patterns for ever since. And he's got everything from wallets to purses to costume pieces and steampunk things like that. And I decided I needed a hat to go with my plague doctor mask. So I made a hat, stuck my little logo up there, and I gave him some, if you can see that, I gave him some vials right here in the hat. There's a buckle on the strap here, and then the mask itself is actually, I went ahead and lined the bottom of this too with some suede, some red suede, just kind of give it an accent. And then the hat is actually a separate piece from the mask, which looks a little creepy, admittedly, but hey, it's Halloween, right? So this is the direction I ended up going. This is one I made later. This is not the one I made 9 years ago. I seem to have lost track of that one. But this is the direction I went. So this is kind of what started my hobby. I did also have some fun with my Austrian heritage. The same person who made the patterns for the plague doctor costume also makes a Krampus mask, and so I put one of those together one year. I didn't do the full-blown costume. I'm actually hoping to do a very culturally appropriate Krampus costume that's appropriate to the part of Austria that my family is from. The costumes are made a certain way, the masks are made a certain way. They're made by craftsmen out of pine, and you can only find these guys in Austria. Go figure, right? So yeah, this was just a leather one, just because I thought it was cool, and I thought the horns were pretty ridiculously big. So I made one of these. I think I have to keep referring to it as my expensive hobby, because I've certainly spent more than I've gotten for the pieces that I make. I've done a couple of custom pieces, and I've sold wallets at a couple of events. But I just do it for the joy and just just the pleasure of working with my hands, which is tactile and something I've always liked to do. This is one of the more relaxing parts. I thoroughly enjoy stitching. A friend of mine made a custom ping pong tabletop for a client of his. He's a woodworker, and he came to me and said, "Can you do a ping pong net out of leather?" So he built the frame for it out of wood and came up with a real cool way to support the net. And I had to go out and find the right kind of leather, and then I stitched all the way around that sucker. Yeah, it was a lot of stitching. Well, I won't have time to show you a completed product today. There's the edges, they take several coats and several sandings, and I don't have time to do all of that tonight. But I do want to thank you for allowing me to invite you into this part of my life, this place where I spend quite a bit of time, find a lot of solitude, and have a lot of chances to just reflect and breathe and just be. This is my space to do that. Dark as it is, it's quiet and shut off from the world, and that's all right by me. Thanks again for hanging out with me. I don't have any idea what I'm going to talk about next, but rest assured it's going to be in the next video. See ya.